Okay, so let's talk about something that I have come across that I realize that a lot of people do, and that is perceive their situation or their what they think is important on other people. So now I really don't want to bring up this person's name because of the fact that it's attached to the whole New Age thing, but she did come up with this whole concept of how um, we might look at someone over in like the Middle East or wherever, where it's like bombing and everything going on, and like for us, we're like, oh my God, this is so bad. And I'm not saying that bombing isn't bad. That is horrible. You know what I'm saying? United States and everybody who's involved in that need to be ashamed of themselves. But what I will say is that um, those people over there, as she has explained it to us, is like you might think like, oh, it's so bad, but they're waking up every day and it's like normalness to them, and you're like, I can't. They're not gonna. You might have a certain feeling about their situation, but for them, they're like, they wake up, they do what they do, and they go about their day. Whereas for us on the in the Western world, wherever we may be, it's going to be like, oh, this is a horrible, horrible thing, like, oh, like life is so bad for them. Yeah, that's the situation is not that well, but who's to say their life is bad? We don't know what the person who goes through that life is like because of that. They may have been, um, they may have been, how would we say, you know, uh, change, indoctrinate, not indoctrinated, but they might be transformed because of that reason, and now they're like super, super like strong people, like super, you know, resilient individuals, and life is not that harsh as we might think it is. Or in that one little picture, remember when you have like the kids, they're sitting on the hill, and it was like a meme or whatever, and then you got the kids sitting on the hill, and then they're like, uh I heard it in like it's two sets. So one's like in America or whatever in the Western world. And you got kids and they're like sitting around talking. And they're like, I heard in Africa they don't have any schools or something like that. And then you have like the African children sitting on like a hill, and they're looking out at like the beautiful lakes with all the trees, God's creation, all the stuff from the hillside, like looking at His majesty, His majesticness of the world, is the blindness of the world itself, of the earth, and they're looking back and they're sitting next to each other talking, and you have like little bubbles or whatever, and it's like I heard that in America that they have all the kids have to go to school and they have to sit in classrooms, and they have to be there for like 8 hours a day, and they don't get to go around in the world, and that's how they learn or something like that. And then you can see the two different the perspectives of how the perception of each other is. But then with the kids, they're like sitting inside this classroom talking about the kids in Africa, and then like the African kids is sitting outside talking about the kids in the classroom. But you can see that both perspectives and ideas may be equal, but the visual of the kids in the classroom versus the visual of the kids sitting on hilltop looking at like the beautiness of the earth is much better than the kids who's in the classroom. So the kids in the classroom is perceiving themselves to be so privileged because they're in the classroom, and that's they're in America, whereas they're like it's nothing to be like awed upon. But the kids in Africa or whatever, they're saying the same. They're perceiving the kids in the classroom, but their where they're at, their background is to be awed upon. So I just want to say like we as human beings, especially in the Western world, has come so we're so delusional to what we perceive as valuable or what we perceive as a good and bad situation. Now, like I said, I would definitely not want anybody to have to experience the whole bombing situation or anything like that. So that situation is kind of like, I would say, for the most part, everyone would say it's bad. But except for the people who doing it, but they probably would say it's bad if it was getting done to them, definitely. But as far as you know, as far as you know, the way we look at things in general is so warped because what I've seen is like people think that money is like, if you don't have money, you're in a bad situation. And this is everyone. This is not people who have lots of money. This is people with no money and people with money, all across the board. This is no group. This is not sanctioned to one particular group of individuals who think like this, or a certain type of people. This is pretty much the Western world as itself. Now, I'm going to give an example for my own benefit, for my own self. I don't drive. Okay, I don't have license. I have a car with no license, which is weird, right? So when I tell people, oh, okay, like at work, I don't tell people that I don't drive. Why? Because when I tell people, they're like, oh my God, you don't drive? So you're like, how do you get to work? So I said, I used to do the bus, but now I do Uber. So you're Ubering all the way here to work? Oh my God, you do that every day? Yes, I do that every day. Oh my God, that's so bad. And here I am, you know, complaining I got a car and da 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 da. And I'm like, well, you may have a reason to complain because other than me spending money on Uber, I'm not really spending money. So like, Uber doesn't really matter to me. Like that's, you get what I'm saying? It's like I tell them, oh yeah, we go out or whatever. I'm like, oh, I got that. And they're like, no, save your money. You need to get a car. I'm like, but I have a car. Well, you need to get your license taken care of. I'm like, that's already in the works. They were like, no, 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 I get it. But then, we might have another conversation. They're like, uh, we're not making enough money at work. I had bills and this thing to play, and they're playing around. And you would never hear me say this stuff like, we're not making enough money at work. What do you mean? You know, like this is not enough to take care of my bills or whatever. Oh, so you got issues with your bills? Yeah, man. It's not like I got issues with bills, but this is not gonna cover what I need it to cover. Hmm. So I don't know. I don't know how much you work, but we make the same amount, and I don't have that issue. So why are you having such an issue? And then I'm like, well, maybe you need to change what you spend what you have. Like you may need to make a difference of spending habits. So that now they're like, no, I don't spend much. It's just that it's not enough. I got house payments and things, and they start naming this list of things. And then I'm like, but the other day, when I tried to pay, you was like, you got it, but you don't got it, but I got it. I really literally had it, and you didn't want to. You thought I was like you needed me to do not spend my money, but I'm not. I'm not complaining. You're saying that you need to do this and that and else, and that you have to take care of all these things, but you didn't allow me to do what I was going to do to help you save that money, so that you don't have to, spend that money, and you can put it towards whatever you're telling me you have problems with. But my money that I didn't spend on you that day is now sitting the same place it was sitting, and I have literally nothing else other than get my license back, which is a lot of money. So that's why I'm not in a rush to like say, oh, I gotta, I can't. I'm not tripping because I'm like, even if I save everything that I was gonna save for you, it's not going to result in me having my license back. So, if I didn't catch the Uber to work, it's not gonna result into me having my license back tomorrow or anything like that. So what they don't get is like, for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to have this this way of getting to work every day, and it's going to be there. But it's a necessity that I have to pay, and that I'm willing to pay. So once I get into the habit of doing that or whatever, it's like, okay, so what else do I have to do? Nothing. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like, the only thing that I have left to do is to go into the, one second. Okay, I had to sneeze. So it's like, the only thing that I have to worry about is to do that, and then whatever else I want to do with my money. So, I put my money aside for my license each month. I put some money aside for me to have my Uber, and then the rest is like, okay, this is what I'm going. It's my money. I can spend it on whatever I want to spend it on. So when I tell you like, oh, I got that, that's my, oh, I can spend it on whatever I want to spend it on money. But they perceive it as, oh, because I don't have a car, that I don't drive or whatever, that I am the person who shouldn't be the least of the people who should be spending money because of the fact that I need it more, which is the total opposite. From my standpoint, is you need it more because you have these car payments, you have these bills that you have to pay at home, you have all this other stuff that's going on in your life that I don't have. If I was to lose my job, if all of us would lose our job tomorrow, I'm I'm not nothing's changing for me. You know, First I don't have the Uber, so I'm actually gaining. I'm gaining a savings because I'm not spending money anymore. You know. Secondly, I have the money that I've been saving for my license to set me up for for the next until I get a job in between. You know what I'm saying? So the bill I would have is gone, and the money that I would have spent is now is now open for me to use as as something else, as I guess you could say nest egg or whatever. But if I had I done what they told me to do, and just, oh, say, and just, get that car or get that ride, then I would have to pay for gas. I would have, if it's a car payment, which I have a car, but if they thought I didn't, it would have been a car payment. um the money would have been gone already because they say, oh, you have to have a car. But you see how I'm doing it. I'm not putting myself into a position where, I pay all the money off, and then I have this thing, but then I'm in a situation where something happens that I have nothing to help me out with that situation, because of the simple fact that I spent all my money, or I have all these distress because I have things to pay. So, for me, it's like, what are you talking about when they say these things to me? But it's perceived perceptions. People always they always put their value on other people, and then when you hear what other people are telling you, and what pisses me off, and this is why I don't like to talk to people about things like that, because people always want to give advice about things that they have no understanding with. So like when I tell people, oh, I don't have a license. Why don't you have a license? Have a judgment against me. Oh, well, it's this place called Fix a Ticket. I have tickets. I never said I had tickets. So why do you have your license? They're suspended. So why are you suspended? Because you didn't pay tickets? No, not because I didn't pay tickets. Are you listening to me? I have a judgment against me. What's a judgment? Okay, a judgment is when you are put into court and a judge decided to put a judgment on you, and they tell you that you have to do this one thing in order to have this other thing. So mine is, the judge said you have to pay this amount of money to receive your license back. It's because I was in a car accident when I first got my license, and I didn't have insurance, and they sued me, and I didn't go to court. So now I have a judgment against me. So the stipulation of the judgment was, until you pay these people back, you don't have your license. You was negligent with your license, so you cost people money. So now that you cost them money, you gotta pay them back, or you don't get the thing back that you was negligent against. Oh, get a lawyer. Okay, so let me explain this to you again. When you go to court, you can have a lawyer, and then the judge comes out with an outcome that he makes his judgment. He passes decision. One lawyer wins and one lawyer loses. The lawyer who loses has a client, and that client is subject to the judgment or the outcome, or whatever the judge decided, the stipulations of what the judge decided. So if you owed money to a company or to a person as a company, and a person sues you, an entity sues you, depending on what the judge says, either the client have to pay the company back or the company have to pay the client back. And that's how lawsuits work. So when people get sued, somebody pays and somebody gets money. When people go to court for divorces and the judge come out with a decision, one party gets this amount of stuff and the other party gets that amount of stuff. In my situation, I was sued, and the party that won was rewarded the money for their damages, and I have to pay those damages. Now, the stipulation is that either I pay them or I don't get my license back. Do you get it? The whole thing that you're about to say has already happened. This is the judgment. This is the completion. This is the conclusion of what happened already. This is where we're at. That process is over with. So, and then they're telling me all these things, and I'm like, you're coming to me with your your advice that I didn't ask for, but you don't. It's not even pertinent. It doesn't even pertain. It doesn't have any value. So you're telling me things that doesn't help me at all. It's just wasting my time, and it's really wasting your time because you don't know what you're talking about, and it's not helpful to either of us. So why you continue to persistently tell me the same things that I already tried to explain to you is of no value and of no help, and it's not going to do anything to me. And the thing about it is, usually the people who are so persistent in these things, I look at them and I'm like, why? Even if it was some other way, why? You're not the person that I'm likely going to tell, take advice from, because you're in a situation that you can't get yourself out of. Yet you think you have answers, but you don't even have the answer to your own situation. Whereas I never even questioned, I never asked for answers. I never asked you for help. I never asked you for advice. It's just like you put me into a situation in your own mind that I'm not in, and then you give me advice to something I don't have a problem with. So we have to stop putting our values on other people. And now I want to say about those values. These are things that people are valuing that is really not important, and that's why the world is so really messed up. And because people say that they care and they believe in Jesus, more than half the world claim to be Christians, but none of them follow the Bible. None of them follow the Word. None of them have. Almost only a minute percentage of people in this world follow the Scripture that they claim to be followers of. So you have cars, you have houses, you have money, you have lifestyles, women, recognition, attention or whatever. You have all these things, social media, fame, all these things that you think is like important, and then you see people without it, and then you immediately assume that that person is in a worse place than you are if they don't have that thing that you have, when it's really vice versa. It's really, from my experience in life, personally, and my observation, people who value those things I just named are usually worse off than people who don't value those things. Now you're gonna say, "Oh, that millionaire who has the yachts and the boats and all those things, and he has the houses and the cars and the women." You telling me he worse off than someone who's living on the street? Yeah, actually, I am. I actually am going to tell you that, because of the fact that that person who's on the street may not have a home, maybe living on the street, but they're in a position where they're how would I say it? Their only way, next way is up, and that they have to um, they have this, let me see how what I, this freedom, so to speak, this openness, this, they're not linked to anything, they're not attached to anything, they don't have to hustle and bustle every day. Their money, maybe because they have to get, something to eat, but for the most part their livelihood doesn't rely on a 9 to 5, because they're already there. So what I'm saying, like when I was just like not working or whatever, I would do like minimal things, and it was like, oh, I'm fed, you know, and then you realize like, wow, if I get to eat today, I'm pretty, my day is done. You get what I'm saying? It's like, what else would you be looking for? What else? Like, would you be looking for shelter? Maybe. But if you live in like a hot place like I do, you could be outside all day long, because it's like you don't even want to be inside because it's hot. Cause if they're looking for shelter, they're not gonna get like an AC place. They're gonna get something like under the bridge or whatever. But you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just like being outside and like laying down on a hammock, or on a blanket at the park, or on a beach with your little umbrella. Something simple like that. It's enough for you to be like, oh, good. I'm good. I don't have to worry about nothing else. I don't have to worry about uh, uh, going to work. I don't have to worry about all these things that you think that you need to worry about. Because imagine those people who got all this stuff, they got all that stuff to lose. Whereas the people who don't have all that stuff have everything to gain. And for the most part, you realize like, wow, like if you never worked before, I mean, if you always worked before, and you never had that opportunity to like just literally chill out for like, I'm not talking about for a day or take a vacation like 2 weeks. I'm talking about like time, like your life, like have a period in your life where you're not working for a substantial amount of time. You would never know like how refreshing it is to like wake up every day for a period of time and not have anything to do. Like literally, only thing you have to worry about is feeding yourself, and I would say closing yourself is, too. But that's not even, for the most part. That's the least hard thing to do when you don't have, is to clothe yourself. You can find clothes anywhere, anywhere, and shoes as well. I mean, you just need a pair of shoes. You just need to have something to keep you from getting, I guess, sunburned, or if not me, like I don't have to be worrying about that. But for others, maybe, or maybe in a winter, to get a cold, freezing, have a dry skin. That's something for me. But other than that, you really don't have too much to worry about. Now you do have health issues that you do have to try to avoid, so you have to take showers and hygiene and things like that. But that's very minimal, and it's not that hard to come by if you know how to work your circumstances out to the point where you can minimize things. And now we got these people called minimalists, and they're pretty much doing that. They're putting themselves in positions where they have minimal amount of concerns. So you might meet some of those people, and they will look like they're homeless, maybe, or like they're doing bad, and they're literally putting themselves in that position. They're choosing to be a part of that way of life. They're associating themselves with that way of life. So you have these. Most people will be like, "Oh, you don't have a car," and they ride bikes. So mostly, minimalist is gonna have a small habitation. They're gonna have less items that they own. So you're probably gonna see them wearing the same clothes uh, more often, and then others. So they're gonna be look like they're struggling. No, they're not. What they have chosen to do is minimalize the needs in their life and the wants in their life so that they can live a freer, happier, more receiving observational life. That's what it boils down to. In the end, you're walking around, seeing the world as it's supposed to be received instead of being stuck in the hustle and bustle of the 9 to 5 crunch time system that we are currently, most of us are currently in. We're slaves of. So when I tell people these things, it kind of pisses me off because people always are like, you need to get a car. Like, no, I don't. Oh, you need to have money to survive. No, you don't. And if you're a Christian, if you're a person of God, you really should not be thinking this way, because it says the birds, they don't work and they still get feed. Look at the lilies and everything, how beautiful they are arrayed, they are clothed. So if the flowers are clothed in beauty, the birds still get fed. How much more important and valuable you are, that the Lord is not going to take care of you. You get what I'm saying? So if you really believe and trust in Him, He's going to put you where you need to be. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to be in bad situations. That doesn't mean that you likely will be finding yourself in a bad situation, because you're an outsider to this world who believe in all these other things. But your current situation won't be like, your life won't be what they think it is. And if it is, it's because you chose to do that, because you're a soldier for the Lord, that you are working on His plan and not on your own agenda. But as far as like, if you don't have certain things, you won't be able to attain certain things. That is definitely not the truth. I've done it. I've lived a meager life, um, and I've lived a pretty lost, hefty, financially wealthy life. I'm not gonna say wealthy, but endowed life, like Paul. That's what the whole saying is. I know how to base and I know how to abound. I mean, I know how to have and I know how not to have. So that means you get that perspective of both lives, and it doesn't matter which side you're on. If you're thinking that one thing is more valuable than the other, then that's gonna be your downfall. But if you just realize life for what it is and see the world as your chance to experience it, this is what your life is, a time to experience God's creation. Really nothing more, nothing less. It doesn't matter if you're up or you're down. You're going to be in the same predicament, because of the fact that it's not about your situation of your circumstances. It's about your inner personal being, your personal circumstances. Because if I walk through one place, let's put it this way really quickly. You have a car, right? Your car is red, okay? Let's say you drive your car around the country. When you get to one state, what color is your car? It's red. When you get to another state, what color is your car? It's red. When you get to another state, what color is your car? It's red. Let's say you're on a ferry. When you're on a ferry boat, what color is your car? Red. When you get across to the next part, what color is your car? Red. Now you need to go get your car shipped because you're going to another country. When your car get into the cargo ship, what color is your car? It's red. When you get into a new country, what color is your car? It's red. So when you drive around that country and you go from one city to another, what color is your car? It's red. So I'm saying this because all those situations are going to be different. When you was in one state, your situation was different than your other state. When you get on the ferry, your situation is going to be different than when you get off the ferry. When your car gets shipped on a cargo ship, your situation was different than when it was on land. When you get in a new country, your car is going to be different. The circumstances is going to be different than when you was in another situation, but your car still is red. And then when you drove around that country in different cities, you're in different situations and circumstances, but your car still is red. So it doesn't matter what your circumstances is. It doesn't matter who you are and how you perceive the value of your circumstances. Now, if I was in this car the whole time, all I would be doing is looking out of the windshield, viewing the world around me, and just perceiving the world. Now, let's say it's not a person; it was just a recorder, and then I'm watching this video of this car that's been all over the world, and just having this camera point out what I would get to see. I would get to see this car moving, the driving. I would see landscape changing. I would hear different sounds, noises. I would see night and day, sun go up, sun go down, moon come up, moon go down, stars. I would see animals. I would see people. I would see the different speeds at which everything is being received because of the fact of the speed of the car. Sometimes I would be able to see things really clearly. Sometimes I would see things just joke by. I get to see other cars, right? So, when I'm on a cargo ship, I just hear quietness, darkness maybe. I'm on a ferry, I get to probably see the ocean. See birds flying across the ocean in the sky. When they touch the ocean, reach the sky, and see the birds fly by. I'll probably get to hear the machinery that's moving the car off the cargo ship onto the cargo ship. I can hear men talking to workers. Someone might come to take a smoke break next to where the car is at. You can hear them. You can hear the car crank back up for the first time. You can hear it turn off. You can hear it move forward. Right? You can see the different countries. You can see the different states. You see the different landscape, the different buildings, right? The different architecture. You can see if it's country or if it's city, right? Suburbia, you get to see the different type of environments, the neighborhoods, right? Maybe you might drive by some restaurants. You might see that the restaurants in one country is different than another country. People might be bicycling around you, whereas people are not. Might be more people running. People might be on skateboards. Different modes of transportation, right? So these are going to be the different things that you're going to experience. But if that was a camera inside the car, you're at home or wherever you are is just sitting around viewing this thing, and your situation hasn't changed, right? Your personal inner being hasn't changed, but you're viewing this whole world outside of yourself through the car's perspective. But the whole time, your situation is still, your consciousness, your inner person is still the same, and that car is still red the whole time. But it's been all over the place, and all different. You might see rain, snow, right? Different weather. In different situations. Might be somewhere where you might hear gunshots. People might be in a car or chase, or the police might be arresting someone where you might hear it where it's totally quiet. But that car is still red, and you're still home viewing through the lenses of the car, and as your same self. So this is what I'm saying is that you have to stop perceiving other people's situation as your own, and you have to stop valuing things that's not as valuable as they are projected to be. Because if you see someone else in another situation that is opposite to yours, and they doesn't have the things that you value, but they're saying they're okay, that means the things you value is likely not as valuable as you think they are, because those people who like that is still fine, and you may not even be fine with all the things you have. So my message today is stop thinking for others. Don't Stop putting your problems, your values on other people, lives, because people are living to their understanding of what their life is supposed to be and is, and you're living to what your life is supposed to be, what you value, what you think your life's supposed to be, and what it is. So that situation that you're in is probably not the situation the other person in, and if the other person is a little bit more less worried or less concerned about those things you are, I would say that you're on the wrong side of you're on the wrong side of the value system, because that person is not in a position where life is bad for them, but you're in a position where you're struggling and you're stressed out or whatever. So maybe you're holding on to things that is not necessary and important as you thought they were. So I'm hitting almost 40 here, but I really, really, really wanted to get to that point because so many people in this world, in America, or in the world, is claiming to be Christians, and they value everything that is non-Christian, as non-godly, non of the Messiah, non of Christ, and they tell people who are on the whole everything that the Lord told us we need to be on, that they need to get on the side of where they are, which is the world. And that's the last thing that God, Lord, wants you to do, is be part of the world. He wants you to be the opposite of the world if you're going to be a follower of Him. If you love the world, then you hate Him. If you hate the world, then you love Him. So if you value the things of the world, you are not of Him. If you value Him, you cannot be of the world. But anyway, that's my little spill. I hope you learned something from here, but you probably don't, because I already know where you guys are right now, and you're gonna have 100 objections, and that's fine. But it's not gonna change the truth of the matter of the situation. So anyway, as always, God bless you, and I love you. Peace.